Hi guys, I'm Jason Wardlaw. I'm going to be your resident mathematician for the year. So this is how we see. So we'll start off with telling you a little bit about myself. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and I lived there until I was 20 years old. I graduated high school in 1999. After graduating from high school, I went to Tarrant County College, where I got an Associate in Arts degree in 2001. And after I got that, I actually moved to College Station in January of 2002. I got my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in August 2004. And directly after getting my bachelor's degree, I started working on my PhD here at Texas A&M, also in electrical engineering. To be honest, I really never even saw myself going to college. I didn't think I could afford to go. I had no idea how to go there. I didn't think I was smart enough, any of that kind of thing. Well, it turned out when I was in 8th grade, I was very, very bad at math. I didn't do very well. I was in algebra, doing very poorly, and then one day, all of a sudden, everything just clicked. I started understanding what algebra was, and I started working more and more towards my math skills as I got into high school. I started taking chemistry and physics and calculus and all these other advanced courses while I was in high school, and I actually did really well. But because I didn't have the money to go to college, I really never thought that I would even try to go. Well, I started working full-time starting after my high school, after I graduated. And I quickly learned that when you only make $5 an hour, or maybe even $6 an hour, it's very, very difficult to live. So I made sure that I would find any way I possibly could. Analog circuit design is basically designing the circuits that go inside cell phones or modems or your computer monitor or any other electronic, including your iPod or just those kind of things. An analog integrated circuit designer helped to design at least part of it. Well, I fell in love with it because it was just a very, very challenging area. It required a lot of knowledge in a very broad range of areas because I myself am not one that really enjoys working on one specific. Well, in general, what happens is somebody comes up with a need for something. You need some sort of product to do something. So a group gets together, will write a proposal that will be about this thick here in one of these binders. It can be upwards of 1,000 pages long. Well, that's pretty boring for me to read. I don't like doing it, but everybody has to start there. Once you get a grasp on what the standard should actually do, you can start reading journal papers like one I have displayed here on my screen to give yourself some idea of what the circuits that go involved in designing that system will do. I'll simulate here and make sure that the circuit meets the specifications given in that standard that's as big as those binders. Once it does that, I have to do what's called the layout, because this right here is just a representation of what a real-world thing will do. It's a model of it. So I have to draw it out to what it's going to kind of look like, and that goes something like this. But in actuality, whenever you actually get it fabricated, if you can see the little silver disc on the inside here that my finger is pointing at, that is actually the same size as that circuit that I was just showing you. What we can do is actually get a microscope, take a picture of what that circuit looks like in real life. So this circuit and this circuit are the exact same thing. Is actually fabricate a PC board or a PCB. And I will use this computer-aided design program here to do that. I will draw out a PCB where I'm going to solder on the chip to the board, and the board will come out looking something like this. Now from here I can actually go take measurements in the real world and make sure that the real world measurements match up to what I see in my simulation. Why is that such a big deal for me? Well, I love it. I love the whole challenge of design, coming up with something new, creating, doing new fancy things. Like, I really enjoy being on the cutting edge of technology. Like any new computer that's out, any new cell phone that I happen to buy, I have the potential to be working on that, and that just makes me feel really good to see that I actually had an impact on what society. Morning class, this is Mr. Wardlaw again. I have you here at the Student Rec Center. I've been working out for about 13 years on and off. I got started when I was playing baseball in high school, and I like to keep it up because whenever you sit at a desk all day long, it gets kind of boring. So At least this changes it up a little bit for me. So why don't you guys come on inside and lift some weights with me. Hi, it's Mr. Wardlaw again. I'm standing in front of my office building. It's called the Weisenbaker Engineering Research Center. This is basically my home away from home. I spend a good bit of time here, and this is where all of my offices are. So why don't I take you guys inside and let's see what's going on in there. It's time to work now. Basically, an electrical engineer is somebody that figures out some way, somehow, to control electricity and get it to do something that you want it to do. Whether it be turn on some lights, or allow you to make a cell phone call, or you have some power plant that you need to distribute some power. In any case, an electrical engineer somehow was involved in that, and they determine how to get that, video or speech or whatever it is into your screen or into your ear through a microphone. I got interested in electrical engineering mainly because my junior year of high school, my math teacher told me that I was smart and that I should become an engineer, so I said okay. I found out he told me that electrical engineering was difficult. I liked a challenge, so I went through with electrical engineering, and I haven't really regretted it since then. We're here in Fort Worth today. We're watching a band called Kildaris. This is my lovely wife, Kelly. Hi. I just wanted to share this experience with you guys, and hope you enjoy it. To just show you a few of the things that I really enjoy doing and kind of what I do on a daily basis after I get off of work and I'm not teaching you guys and when I'm not in my office. Another thing that I've really begun to enjoy recently is actually playing video games. Whenever I decided to get out of the house and whenever it's during the summertime, I enjoyed a wakeboard. I also enjoy working on my computer at home actually, but here most of the stuff that I do is kind of just rebuilding computers or putting them back together from scratch or fixing the one that I actually have. This is my actual computer. I don't know how well you can see it, but I actually built this one myself. I ordered all the parts and put it all together. As I got into circuit design, I found a specific area that I really liked, which was wireless communications and also just other types of circuits, but specifically wireless communications. Well, wireless communications is basically anything that you can transmit a signal over without having an actual physical connection, basically like your wireless modem at your house or your cell phone or your cordless phone at your home. So, in order to get a little bit more experience on this, I got into the graduate school pursuing my PhD. Well, during my PhD, I've actually been fortunate enough to work at two different companies. The first one was a company called Micron, where I actually worked on DRAM. DRAM is actually a form of memory which is used in computers, phones, and even your iPod. Going into my circuit design and going into my graduate school has allowed me to work on these consumer products that gets to affect your everyday life, and I really enjoy that aspect of my design. Seeing the finished product and everything that comes up to it, all of the hard work. And it is a lot of hard work, don't get me wrong, because it takes years and years of work for something to actually come to fruition. Like, again, back to this iPod here. It took over 10 years of development for it to get to be like it is today. So imagine working on something for 10 years until you see the finished result. But how good it'll feel to get there. It's just all of the hard work that you like. So like I said before, I've spent about 10 years in college. And it takes about 10 years for a product to come to fruition. Well, why is it that you would actually be interested in that? Well, if you actually really like seeing all of your hard work pay off, that is the main thing. Like whenever you're studying for an exam and you study for days and days and days, and then finally you take the exam and you get a 90 or 100 on it, you should feel good about that because all of that hard work that you did pays off. Whenever you practice throwing your baseball, you practice and practice and practice, you practice hitting, or you practice shooting your baskets, or you practice a certain dance move, any of these kind of things, and then finally when it comes to a competition, and you can do that to perfection, you should feel good about it because all of that training, all of that hard work that you possibly did is actually what is allowing you to be as good as you are. And that is exactly the case with your education. You can't expect to be able to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball right from day one. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of maturity, and a lot of intelligence and knowledge from other people in order to be able to throw that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. An engineer is kind of somebody that takes all the math, all the science, and applies it to a real-world problem and solves that problem for the cheapest cost while still performing the job that it's supposed to do. By that time I graduate, 11 or 12 years in college. Now just imagine that. You guys are in 7th grade now, which means you guys have been in school for 7, 8 years, maybe 9 years for some of you that got to go to pre-K. Imagine finishing high school and then basically having to take that same amount of time again in college. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is very well worth it because of the education that you receive. Whenever I would go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, I would get out of school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, go to work till 11 o'clock at night, I only had 9 hours to sleep and do my homework. So, what I'm saying to you, maybe y'all won't have the same situation I did, but there will always be something that is keeping you from having to do what you need to do. So you need to keep at your studies, keep at what you're doing, and just realize that it's not going to come easy, that you're actually going to have to want to get what you're doing. Number one dream job would be baseball player, because it's incredible to get paid. Not just paid a lot of money, but just paid to do something that you love doing and that is so much fun as just playing. Number two dream job, I guess I would also have to say it would be becoming a rock star. I've always really loved singing, playing music. Although I'm not that great at it, I love music and I would really like to get paid to do that professionally. Third dream job would be circuit designer, which, hey, that's what I am today, and I can still dream about the other ones and do those in my spare time. The main thing that I have to say about doing all of this is it's not an easy path. It's not that you're just going to be given a degree just because you do it. You're not going to be given a job. You have to earn everything you do. Work hard. In the end, it's going to be worth it, and all that hard work will pay off. And it's not always going to be the easiest thing that you have ever done. Just like I told you, I struggled in algebra when I was in 8th grade. But because I worked so hard at it, I actually was able to improve and move on. So just make sure that you just keep at it and keep at it, because you're not always going to be able to play a guitar from day one. It's going to take practice. You're not always going to be able to do a backflip or a back handspring or dunk a basketball or lift all the weights you want. It's going to take practice, commitment, and hard work from all of you guys to achieve what you need to do. So just remember that, and good luck to you, and I can't wait to work with you in the future.